Well, that's a great question, Scott. I know one of the things that we did is we had a member from Vermont on the Rules Committee who's been working really hard to help the Republican Party embrace a set of rules that allows the individual states and the individual state parties to have a little bit more control and influence over what the national party is doing. And while some of those efforts were in the end unsuccessful, I think that we got a lot of things changed that I think are important. So that's a great thing about having this kind of system where every state gets 2 members to each committee. So Vermont gets 2 members to the Rules Committee, and Texas gets 2 members. So it's a great equalizer there. And in some of those committee works about sort of the future of the party and what's going to be happening over the next 4 years, both in how we organize ourselves and then also what the platform is, I think Vermont's had a big impact. Yeah, I think unfortunately there was a really big opportunity that was missed. We had a number of folks who maybe were sort of lukewarm towards Trump, but who had some very crisp ideas about what they want to see, what kind of changes they want to see in the party. And I think there was an opportunity for the Trump campaign and the RNC as they kind of work together to really embrace some of those changes, especially if they all were to take effect after this convention, which is what was the primary goal. And it would have been a great way for us to work together, and the Trump campaign and the RNC would have been able to get a nominee forward the way they wanted, and folks who had concerns beyond the nominee would have been able to get that. But unfortunately, I think we saw some tactics that were less than unifying coming out of the folks who had the majority, which was that sort of Trump and RNC connection there. I've had a couple people tell me that they came to the convention hoping to be convinced and really encouraged about Donald Trump, and after the way things unfolded and some of the somewhat heavy-handed tactics, they're much more reluctant to be voting for Trump than they thought that they might be coming into the convention. I think we're small enough where everyone knows each other, and there's some difference in who we support for a candidate, but being a delegate 4 years ago, we had the same thing. We had 3 Ron Paul supporters. Everyone else supported Romney, and there was a little bit of tension during the convention, but by the time we got home, we were all focused on Vermont and what the Vermont Republican Party is about. And I think the same thing will happen this year. We've got a great candidate for governor, 2 great candidates for governor that I think really have a shot at winning, and I think that's going to unify the Vermont Republicans more than anything that's happening on the national stage. Yeah, I think there were certainly mixed reactions to that. I think the thing that really caught my attention first off is before Cruz even began to wrap up his speech, he was starting to get booed, and that sort of just crescendoed as his as his speaking slot advanced. And I think that was really unfortunate that the folks who weren't supporting Cruz didn't at least let him finish before expressing their dislike for him. And who knows what was happening in the mind of Senator Cruz, but that probably didn't make it easier to support Trump when his supporters are booing you. And I think, again, there was another opportunity for folks to listen to Senator Cruz and be respectful, and that there could have been another opportunity to kind of heal those wounds. I think it's always incumbent on the majority or the folks who are in power to extend grace to the minority factions, because that's how you have unity. And if you have the majority sort of taking the opinion that we're in charge, we've got over 50%, and you have to do what we say and do things our way. That is what causes disunity in any organization, whether it's a political party or an employment situation or anything else. And so it's the folks who are in authority, in the majority. It's really the burden is on them to create an environment that's welcoming to the folks who are in the minority. I think so, and I think the Bernie supporters could end up fairly splintered. I think there will be some that will vote for Hillary out of either out of loyalty to the Democratic Party or is some sort of perceived fear of Republicans, which I think is unfortunate and unfounded. But I think there's also Gary Johnson, the Libertarian candidate, is making very strong overtures to attract Bernie supporters, and he's identifying those policies and positions that he has that are attractive to liberals. But I also think that sort of your working collar, your blue collar working class folks who support Bernie, and people who recognize that some of the trade agreements that we have are not in America's best interest. Those are people that I think Donald Trump can really pick up, who are former Bernie supporters. And I feel like I know a couple people in each one of those categories in Vermont that were for Bernie, and now they're either for Trump, for Johnson, or they're going to kind of hold their nose and vote for Hillary. So we'll find out what happens in November.